You're live.
I'm live. Well, that's the alternative. Hello, Ken Hovind here. Well, this is cool from Lenox, Alabama. I doubt this has ever happened from Lenox before, brother. A live broadcast. We're lucky to get electricity out here. Anyway, Ken Hovind here, Dinosaur Adventureland. We're the folks who believe the Bible is true, cover to cover. Even the cover says Ken Hovind. We believe that. And we believe God made everything in 6 literal 24-hour days about 6,000 years ago. He said in the 10 Commandments, remember the Sabbath, 4 in 6 days. The Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. That would include the dinosaurs. That would include the stars. He made everything. He repeated it in Exodus 31 and a couple more spots in the Bible. And he made the stars on day 4. They are not billions of light years away to prove it's billions of years old. They might be that far away. But made during those 6 days. Okay. And we need to vaccinate your kids against the stupid evolution theory they're being taught in schools. Get our video series. This will vaccinate them, where they won't absorb the stupidity of believing the earth is billions of years old and came from a rock. One guy said the whole universe was fit into a dot smaller than a period. I said, you couldn't squeeze a gallon of milk into a dot smaller than a period on a page. What a completely insane idea. Anyway, get the video series, 18 hours, $50. You can watch it, copy it, send it back, get your money back minus shipping. Well, you can't beat a deal like that.
No.
I can. Anyway, okay. All my PowerPoint slides are available on drdino.com, extension 1. If you want to get those, you can help that. Who put the skeleton together, the giant skeleton?
It was Will's kids.
The little kids put it together? Will's kids put it together?
Yes.
Man, that thing's 12 feet tall.
See, Doc, you told me to do it, and then I was like...
And you assigned it to somebody smarter, the kids. Okay, good. Well, who sent us those 2 skeletons? Anyway, they're cool.
I have the gentleman's name.
Okay, well, thank you, whoever it was. We love it. All around the neighborhood here, the flowers are going crazy. You know why the flowers face the sun? I got one here, Julia. Look at this. Why the flowers face the sun. I wrote a book for my grandkids while I was unjustly in prison, which, by the way, we're still fighting. It ain't over yet. Why do flowers face the sun? Half the book is already colored. The other half is to be colored, so your kids can practice their coloring, see if they can match the colors. Why do flowers face the sun? Fascinating science lesson there that we teach at our Dinosaur Adventureland. Joe brought the alpacas and the miniature horses. And when are you guys taking off back for New Mexico? Tomorrow morning. And you're going to get rid of some of our donkeys for us. Yay.
Is that Mackenzie?
The miniature horses. Now, could we get like a little wagon or something for them to pull around, or a miniature covered wagon? Or
You can pull me around.
pull you around? Okay. Anyway, the alpacas, has anybody got them to eat out of their hand yet? They're kind of getting settled in now. I tried. I couldn't get them. Got close. Okay. And our stupid emus. Okay. 124 baptized so far. If you want to help us stay open for free, we want to win the whole world to Christ. I lead people to the Lord probably 3 or 4 times a week over the phone. If you want to call, I'll be glad to talk with you. 855-BIG-DINO, extension 3. My favorite thing to do. And then you can help us stay open for free by joining our 777 club. Go to drdino.com. Say, I like what they're doing. I want to support that ministry to the blind and the dumb, those who believe in evolution. Make any checks if you want to do $1 a day, which is what we're suggesting, to CSE, Creation Science Evangelism. Let's see. We're studying the book, What on Earth is About to Happen, for heaven's sake. We are headed for problems on planet Earth. I wrote this book, 5 years I spent in prison just on this book. I wrote 37 books from prison. That's one of them. Spent a lot of time on this one. What's going on? I did this chart. You can get a small version of the chart for $10. And it got all the verses on the back from Daniel and Matthew, Mark, Luke. I highly recommend you get that, study along with us. Anyway, the Old Testament is everything before Jesus came. I can't point. My hand goes behind the screen. Steve, it cuts my arm completely off.
I'm fixing that too.
Okay, and it's got reverse lettering on there. Is that okay?
It's not reversed for the viewers.
It's reversed on mine?
Yeah.
I got to read it backwards? Anyway, the Old Testament is everything before Jesus came, and then the New Testament is after Jesus came. So we're studying in the book of Revelation, the last book. This little yellow stripe at the bottom is, I can't point right here. Let's see, right there. There. Oh, my thumb disappeared. That little yellow stripe is greatly expanded on the top to be the 7-year period called the time of Great Tribulation. We're talking about that. Okay, so to review, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John are the first 4 books of the New Testament. They're the Gospels, the biographies of Jesus Christ. John wrote the book of John. He also wrote 3 little letters, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, and he wrote the book of Revelation. So we're in chapter 12, slide number 1272. Enter. Revelation chapter 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her a crown of 12 stars. What is this? Many people, artists, have tried to depict, what is this? The moon under her feet, she's clothed with the sun, and she has a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. So she's pregnant, going to have a baby. Most people think, and I agree, that this probably represents Israel. The 12 stars are the 12 tribes, and she's going to bring forth a child, which is going to be the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So that's one depiction of the seven-headed dragon that came to eat the child as soon as it's born. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. Now, people take this verse and say that 1/3 of the angels followed Satan. I think that's a reasonable explanation, but that's not what it says. It's not clear. I think that's the most reasonable theory, that 1/3 of the angels decided to follow Satan. The question is, when did this happen? Did this happen back shortly after the creation of Adam and Eve? We know on day 7 everything was perfect. We know Lucifer was created from Ezekiel 28, and we know that everything was created in 6 days. And we know that all the sons of God, the angels, and including Lucifer, rejoiced when the foundations of the earth were laid. From Job chapter, Psalms chapter 2, I think. It's all covered on my video number 7, question answer. Anyway, so Lucifer must have fallen after the 7-day creation, but before Cain and Abel were born, because Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden before that. We don't have any dates, but we do know Adam was 130 when Seth was born. So let's just pick a number and say Cain and Abel were in their 20s when he killed him. So Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, say after 100 years of peace and harmony. Beautiful place, Garden of Eden, everything's going along fine, and then that woman ate them out of house and home, or whatever happened back then. So they left. I think they were in the garden 100 years. And Lucifer got jealous of their fellowship with God and said, they ought to be praising me. And we cover that on Leviathan, the fire-breathing dragon video, if you want to get that one. $10. Okay. Let's see. So I think this is probably reasonable that 1/3 of the angels followed Satan, but I don't think there's enough scripture to be real dogmatic on that. Verse 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So as soon as the child is going to be born, the devil's going to devour this baby. And most people think, and I don't know of any other reasonable explanation, this is representing Jesus Christ and how Satan tried to kill him. Remember when Herod found out there was a king born in Bethlehem, what did he do? Ordered all the babies killed. Now, according to Jewish tradition, Bethlehem's a small town, there were 22 babies, 2 and under. They might have picked that number because their alphabet has 22 letters in the alphabet. I don't know why, but that's their tradition. But the angel warned them, get out of town. Herod's going to kill this baby. So they left in the middle of the night and went down to Egypt, and were there for who knows how long, a couple of years. When they finally came back, the wise men met them with the gifts. Most of the Christmas scenes have the shepherds and the wise guys together, It says when the wise guys came, they entered the house, and the young child was there. This is not the manger and the baby anymore. Probably a 2-year-old at least, when the young child was there. Okay. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Well, who's that going to be? Jesus Christ. And her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Now that number shows up a lot. That's 3.5 years. Somebody did a excellent research on this. I cut and pasted it from the internet on this. This chapter relates several highly symbolic visions, which include figures critical to the end times. First, there's a woman, representative of Israel. Second is a dragon, identified as Satan. Third is a male child, who is Jesus Christ. And the red dragon seeks to devour the woman's male child, but God caught the child to his throne, referring to the ascension of Jesus after his resurrection. The passage then continues to describe a war in heaven between Michael and Satan. Here, Satan becomes the fourth key figure, which result in Satan's complete and total eviction from heaven. See, Satan right now has access to heaven. He's probably up there right now accusing you of doing something wrong to God. And every time you sin, he has a wonderful time up there in heaven. Hey, did you see that kid of yours? That's Laszlo. He claims to be your kid. Lord, did you see what he just did? And Jesus steps in and says, my blood paid for that sin. Lord, I confess, he's an idiot, but he's saved. Okay, he's forgiven. All right. Okay. Satan attempts to destroy Israel, most likely through an armed invasion, which is supernaturally defeated by God through an earthquake. This is what this passage is, chapter 12 is about. The fifth main figure is the collective offspring of the woman. These events are given further details in passages such as Ezekiel 38. This is strange. Back in the book of Ezekiel, it's got a couple of strange chapters, hard to understand. Ezekiel prophesied that someday Gog and Magog are going to attack Israel. You read Ezekiel 38, well, I think most people understand that Magog is Russia, and Gog and Gomer and all these things are Turkey and the Muslim nations that surround Israel. Actually, it lists quite a few of them in Ezekiel 38. It lists Put, P-U-T, with the children of Put now. It's called Morocco, Algeria, and Libya is where the children of Put landed. The Cush is down at the bottom. Sudan is the children of Cush that are all mentioned in Ezekiel 38 and Ethiopia. So these people are all going to attack Israel. It appears from my study that there's going to be 10 nations attack Israel, and they're going to almost win, and then the Lord's going to overturn it just at the last second. The children of Israel are finally going to call upon the Lord. Lord, deliver us. We're outnumbered 500 to 1. What if all the Muslim nations that surround Israel were to attack Israel? They are badly outnumbered. And the Jews know that, so they got all kinds of secret weapons that terrify the enemy. I think they have some kind of do they have microwave cannon they can shoot and cook the people inside the tank that are coming? Anybody ever heard of that? Penetrates the tank and cooks them inside. So you're riding your tank thinking, this is not a safe place to be. Usually a tank would be a safe place. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard. Okay. Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels. There's only a few angels in the Bible that are named. Gabriel, Michael, Satan. I can't think of any others. Anybody think of any other angels that are named in the Bible? Anyway. And prevailed not, neither was there any place found anymore in heaven. Oh, so finally, the angels are going to, the devil's angels are going to get kicked out. See, from the time of the creation up until this moment, which we're reading about, Satan has free access back and forth to heaven. He goes up there and accuses the brethren. He's probably up there right now accusing you of something to God. He loves doing that. But there's coming a time when God's going to say, that's it. Get out. You're no longer welcome in heaven. You've been evicted. And he's cast down to the earth. Now, once he gets down to the earth, he knows, man, I'm running out of time. I got a couple years left. I'm going to really do all the damage I can do. Instead of repenting and getting right with God, he gets even harder. Verse number 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan. Well, now here's a verse that explains a whole bunch of stuff. So whenever you read in the Bible about the great dragon, you know it's talking about Satan. When you read about the devil, that's talking about Satan. This is the same guy. The devil, the dragon, the serpent, and Satan. Remember in Genesis 3, the serpent beguiled Eve? It says in 1 Timothy that the woman was deceived. Adam was not deceived. Adam looked at what happened and said, oh, brother, woman, if I don't eat some of that fruit, God's going to have to destroy you. So I'm going to become sin to save you. This is so symbolic of Jesus Christ becoming sin to save his bride, the church. There's a lot of good sermons in there. Anyway, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accuse them before our God day and night. He just loves to accuse us of things before God. And sometimes he's got legitimate grounds to accuse us. Anybody ever sinned since they got saved? And okay. All right. The accuser of the brethren. King James Bible Online. I don't know if this is a good site on everything, but I enjoyed what I read here. I don't ever give anybody a blanket recommendation. I believe everything he believes. Just take it slice at a time, okay? Satan is styled the accuser of the brethren, Revelation 12:10. Compare that with Job 1:6, Zechariah 3:1, which we'll do in a minute. As seeking to uphold his influence among men by bringing false charges against Christians, with the view of weakening their influence and injuring the cause with which they are identified. He was regarded by the Jew as the accuser of men before God, laying to their charge the violations of the law which they were guilty and demanding their punishment. The same Greek word rendered accuser is found in John 8:10, but it's omitted in the revised, which is actually the reversed version. The accuser is found in Acts 23, Acts 24, Acts 25. In all other places, it is used of one who brings a charge against another. Interesting concept. So he's the accuser of the brethren. Now, back in the book of Job, dead center in the Bible is the book of Psalms. Right near there is the book of Job, right before Psalm. There was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said to Satan, "Whence comest thou?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." I'm just walking around not doing nothing. Right. And the Lord said to Satan, "Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil." The word escheweth is an Old English word that means he hates it. There's about 20 words in the Old English King James Bible that we don't use anymore, and you'd have to look it up. And then you can read the whole book just fine. People say, "I don't understand the King James." It's not a problem. They use the thee and the thou in the King James. And there's a reason for that. I cover on video number 7. In fact, let me call that up real quick. Alt-F-O, seminar 7. This is worth targeting real quick here. Alt-D-V. Why do you use the King James Bible? Okay, let me get to the thee and the thou part here. I guess they'll go through a whole bunch of reasons why, but what about the thee and the thou? That's going to be slide number, here we go. 1403, Alt-D-V, 1403. I love PowerPoint, Steve. I don't think I can learn any more programs. But now, the King James translators who did this, the king just simply paid for it. He didn't do it. Okay, he paid these guys to do it. They wrote a letter to the king in the front of their Bible. They said right there, "Your Highness did not leave it, you." They used the word you and your all the time. They knew how to use that word you and your. But in 1611, these guys recognized a problem. They said the word you is both singular and plural. If you walk into a room and say, "You come with me," what do you mean? Me or all of us? You can't tell from the word you because it's too fuzzy. So they decided to go back 300 years to the 1300s and pick the really old English words, ye, thee, thine. If it starts with a Y, it's plural, means more than one. If it starts with a T, it is singular. So when I say thee, that means one of you. If I say ye, that means all of you. Simple. In the South, we do that. They say y'all and then all y'all. So y'all is singular and all y'all is plural, right? Okay. That's why they lost the war. Anyway, so if it starts with a T, it is singular. It's very simple. You can see the difference this makes in verses like John chapter 3, verse 7. "Marvel not that I said unto thee," Jesus is only talking to one guy, Nicodemus. "Marvel not that I say unto thee, ye must be born again." Whoa, whoa, whoa. He switched it. He said, "Nicodemus, I'm telling you that everybody needs to be born again." All the new Bible versions lose that because they say, "I'm telling you that you got to be born again." Okay, well, then that doesn't apply to anybody else. Now, that may not be important to you, but I think stuff like that ought to be important to me. So I've stuck with the King James for many years. "The Lord God commanded the man, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it. In the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die." Unto the woman he said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Hath not God said? So this is one of the many reasons why you better use the King James Bible. Okay, Alt F-C, and this is slide number, where am I at here? 1286. Alt DV 1286. Enter. I type slow. I type Columbus style. That's the style I learned growing up. Columbus typing. That's where you got to find it and then land on it. Columbus typing. Okay. Verse 8. So the Lord said to Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there's none like him, a perfect and an upright man? He escheweth, he hates evil. Old English word. Okay. Learn the word and then you go on. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Which means for nothing. Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. So the devil is accusing Job to God. He said, the reason Job serves you is because you gave him all kinds of stuff. He's a rich man, and he was one of the wealthiest men there was. Back in those days, they measured their wealth by how many cows and sheep and stuff they had, Put forth thine hand now and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So here's Satan accusing Job to God, which is what he does all the time. So if you have problems in your life, so the Lord said to Job, the Lord said to the devil, go ahead, take away his stuff. Let's see. And Satan came down and Job lost everything in one day. His health, his 10 kids all died. His wife turned against him. He lost it all. He's shaking his head. Wow, all of his camels and sheep and everything stolen. He went from the richest man there was to broke. Even his skin was covered in boils. He sits down in a pile of ashes, takes a piece of broken pottery, and is scraping the pus out of his boils. And then his 4 friends come to visit him. And for 37 chapters, 35 chapters, they say, Job, you must have sinned. You must have done something wrong. His own friends turned against him. If any of you ever felt like Job, sometime everything went wrong and your friends turned against you and everything's gone wrong. Now keep in mind, when you read the book of Job, you finally realize at the end, Job did nothing wrong. All of this was really a test going on up in heaven between Satan and God. And Job, most when there's wars, 2 enemies fight each other. The people that suffer the most is those that live on the battlefield. They're just the war comes across their farm. There's a war between Satan and God, and when it comes across you, you're going to suffer. So you got to decide, am I going to serve God even if everything goes wrong and I don't know why? If you lost everything, would you keep serving God and say, Lord, I don't understand, but I love you? What if you lost your health? Job lost his health, his wealth, his family, his friends, his wife turned against him, kept serving God. Read the book of Job, one of my favorite. Okay. Then in the book of Zechariah, near the end of the Bible, he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. So if there's a bunch of stuff going wrong in your life, I'll tell you, better yet, if one of your buddies has everything going wrong in their life, don't go up to them and say, I know why this is happening. You must have sinned. Because you don't know that. You let God take care of that. Now, it may be that they sinned and they're causing their own problems, but it may be they did nothing wrong. God said Job was a perfect man, didn't he? Later in chapter 2, he said it again. Why are you doing this to my servant Job? He's a perfect man. Nothing wrong. So something bad might happen to somebody, and it might be a complete unrelated to them, only related to the war between God and the devil. So the Lord said to Satan, verse 2, the Lord rebuke thee, O Satan. This is one of many verses in the Bible I have never understood. Why would the Lord say, the Lord rebuke you? I don't know. You figure it out and tell me about it, because I don't get it. Okay, but why not just say, I rebuke you? Even the Lord that hath chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Back to Revelation 12. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before God day and night. He's finally kicked out of heaven. Verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth. So Satan is now kicked out of heaven. He said, you guys on earth, oh no, woe to you guys, because he's down there full time now. He's been up here accusing you. Now he's down there in person. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Here's the deal. There's a 7-year period of tribulation. I can't point to it here. The yellow.
I'm going to put your little TV size.
Put me as something. Okay. Anyway, can I do it with my mouse? They can't. They can't.
No.
Okay. Look at the 2 yellow boxes, folks. That represents the 7-year tribulation split into 2 halves, okay? 3.5 and 3.5.
Well, yes, you can. If you drag your mouse off screen, you should be able to see it.
Drag the mouse
Like all the way left, like pretend.
all the way to the left, to the right. Forget it. Okay. This 7-year period is divided into 2 parts. In the middle of the 7 years, the abomination of desolation takes place. It's on the chart here. The Antichrist breaks the treaty. Here, I can show them on this one. Right there. Okay. He breaks the treaty. It appears like right then is when Satan is cast down. For the first 3.5 years, there's a great falling away. Most Christians are going to quit serving God. Things are going to get really bad. I don't know when the mark of the beast becomes mandatory to buy or sell, but I suspect sometime in that 3.5 years. And most Christians are going to say, I give up. I'm not going to serve God. This is going to cost me my life. Forget it. You're going to see many fall away. It's called the great falling away. Daniel chapter 7, 2 Thessalonians 2. They're all on the chart there, okay? Satan is cast down. Satan is out of heaven now, working overtime on earth, because he knows his destiny is going to happen after the Battle of Armageddon. The last thing you see on that chart is the Battle of Armageddon right here. We are raptured out right here. Okay, there. We are raptured out at the end of the tribulation. I used to teach we get out before the tribulation. Not true, okay? Post-trib, pre-wrath. We're raptured up to heaven, and we're at the marriage feast of the Lamb for about 3 years, while all hell breaks loose on earth, called the time of wrath. Wrath and tribulation are not the same. Don't get them confused. Then we come back down. See, Jesus comes the first time only as far as the clouds. They blow a trumpet, we take off for heaven. About 3 years later, 1,040 days later, we come back down with Jesus on white horses, and this time it's all the way touchdown to the earth at the Mount of Olives. Mount of Olives splits in half, and the water flows out and makes the Dead Sea come to life. Interesting passage. I cover that in the book. But then comes the Battle of Armageddon, and Satan is cast out. Right there, the Battle of Armageddon. You can read about that in Haggai chapter 2, Zechariah chapter 12, a couple places, Revelation 14 and Revelation 19. This battle, Megiddo is a valley over there. So Armageddon talks about this valley of Megiddo. When Napoleon was going across there with his armies, he came to this huge valley. He said, man, all the armies of the world could fight in this one valley. It's ginormous, Battle of Megiddo. So battle called the Battle of Armageddon. Who cares? Okay, verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Well, who would that be? Israel. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time. There it is again, 3.5 years, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out. Your guess is as good as mine what that means. I think it means Satan is going to somehow try to flood the nation of Israel by bursting a dam someplace or something. And there's going to be an earthquake, and it's going to open up and swallow the water. So they're protected miraculously. And all this time, the whole purpose of all of this is for God to try to get a few more people's attention and say, oh, Lord, would you save me? This has got to be God working. When you read the miracle, the plagues in Egypt, 10 plagues. After a couple of them, some of the Egyptians said, wow, Lord, you are God. They finally got the message. Wow, this is God we're dealing with. Pharaoh's own servants came to Pharaoh, his wise guys, the magicians, said, Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. So God is trying desperately to get more people converted. That's the whole purpose, even in the time of wrath. Verse 17, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God. Wait. Some of the Jews, 144,000 of them are going to get converted in one day. Young Jewish men, male witnesses, they're going to be witnessing all over the place, and they're going to convert a lot of people because God is not willing that any should perish. So even during the time of tribulation and during the time of wrath, people will be saved. He still, in wrath, remembers mercy. So what does Revelation 12:17 mean? Furious, this is from BibleReference.com. Furious that his attack on Israel failed, the devil turns his attention to the believing remnant. These devout believers obey God's word and hold to the testimony of Jesus. These, collectively, are the fifth of 7 important figures described in this part of Revelation. This description of the rest of the woman's offspring clearly identifies believers in Jesus. They may be a group of Jews and possibly also Gentiles who welcome the message of the 144,000 that were identified in chapter 7. The tribulation period certainly leaves no room for wishy-washy professors of Christ. The severe trials of the tribulation will demonstrate genuine faith. As the Apostle Peter explained, faith that is tried, proves its genuineness and results in praise and glory and honor to the revelation of Jesus Christ. Okay, any questions or any comments I need to work on here, Steve, from the group? That's Revelation chapter 12.
No, there was just one.
Super chat right there.
That's not, they just gave me money. There was no
Okay.
question. 1 second, almost.
And thank you for your patience as we play around with this going live stuff. You can also come visit Dinosaur Adventureland and see it live. Right? Right, Joe? Yeah. How'd you and your son like the tour today?
That was really awesome.
You took the real tour?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, yeah. He was a little surprised a couple times there, wasn't he?
Yes,
Yeah. I love it.
We're good, dog. You can keep going.
No, you're done. Well, there's no question.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching and for your comments. Please tell your friends about us. We don't really advertise much. I would also like to get on more radio programs. When I was in Pensacola, I used to do probably average of 2 a day. If you have a radio station in your area, say, hey, can we have Kent Hovind on as a guest? 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 20, half-hour program. I'll debate any of you atheists in your area. Get on a radio program. I get half the time. We talk about one topic at a time. And I'll let them go first, give the best evidence they have for evolution. Most of the universities have a radio station for the university. Go there and challenge them. Hey, you have Kent Hovind on as a guest. And he'll take on all the professors on evolution. It helps us get the gospel message out to more people that otherwise may not have heard it. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.